This right here is one of the best days of my life. I'm getting white coated in front of my family at the best medical school for me. In this video, I'm not talking about rankings or numbers. I say I chose to go to the best medical school for me, but what I mean by that is that the best med school for me might be different than the best med school for you. Let's get into it.
So, like I said, guys, choosing the right medical school is crucial, but that question has a different answer for everyone. The best med school that I chose might be different from the best med school for you. So, in this video, we're not talking about the numbers, or we're not talking about the rankings or anything like that. We're just simply talking about choosing the best medical school for you, because I truly think that in the end of the day, where you go doesn't matter. It matters what you put in and the work you put in. And I carry that philosophy with me, because I heard that throughout undergrad. Going to a state school, I would hear, I would be disadvantaged applying to some of these top programs or just medical school in general because, I was competing against people from these more prestigious institutions. But at the end of the day, that still got me to the best med school for me. And that's what we're going to continue to talk about here. So in this video, we're going to be talking about 10 things that you should think about in choosing the best medical school for you. The first thing we're going to talk about is location. Where do you want to study, right? Things like the climate, urban, rural setting, things like that, are things that you want to think about. Opportunities for clinical rotations, right? And where these hospitals that you will rotate are located in. That is what I mean when you think about location and choosing a medical school. The second thing I'm going to talk about is learning about the med school curriculum. It's important to know how you'll be learning while you're in med school. For example, at my med school, they started a new curriculum where we had pre-clinicals 1 year, and after that, we went right into clinical rotations. So I think it's really important to figure out how you want to learn, so that way when you get there, it's not a huge surprise. The next thing I would think about are connections. So I think we always go into med school having a certain specialty in mind. And for most people, I think that changes, but it's still important to think about, right? What specialty do you think you're going into? And think about how you can make connections at this med school through that specialty. Are there any programs that exist? Are there faculty that are really involved in research or community outreach, things like that? That's something that you want to think about when choosing a med school. That way, you at least have an idea of how you can get involved to get closer to matching into that specialty. This next thing is kind of related to the last one, but it's about facilities and resources. Learn about what the school facility is like, what the resources are like, and again, if it matches the things that you are interested in. If you're interested in learning anatomy, through technology, or you're interested in learning anatomy through cadavers, those are things that you should also consider looking into, because I know med schools learn in different ways. Also, in terms of resources for, establishing your own organization or going into the community to help out and things like that. Those are also things that you should really consider when looking at these med schools. The fifth thing that I'm going to touch on is cost and financial aid. I think this is a big part of choosing the best med school for you. We definitely want to know how much we're going to be paying for the med school that we're going to ultimately, but we want to know if there's going to be, scholarships available, grants available, things like that while we're a student at that school. So, and also location and how much it costs to live in that area. Those are things to think about when choosing the best med school for you. The sixth thing we're going to touch on are student support services. You should figure out if the school offers services like advising, counseling, wellness programs for the students while you're enrolled at their institution. If that's something that you really value and you really want to, have that available to you as a student in that med school, is definitely something you should consider looking into. Uh, if that school offers that, so that's definitely big. Mental health is very important as we're going through this journey, and it's something definitely you don't want to put on the back burner, and just ignore. So definitely check that out. The next thing I'm going to touch on was actually something big for me that when I was looking into med schools, and that's how was the community and the culture at the school. Am I able to, find friends and build a community at the school where people, are friendly and open to collaborate, or are people, super competitive and don't really want to make friends to one another. That was huge for me as I was going into, my decision. And I definitely got that feel, in interviews and the like student panels and things like that. So that's something you should definitely look into. And that leads me to my next point of, figuring out whether the curriculum is pass or fail. I think that was a big one for me, because just, I thought that naturally it would kind of reduce like the competitiveness and things like that in, between the students if it was just pass fail versus, a grading system. So those are things I think you should definitely look into as well. The ninth thing we're going to touch on are extracurricular opportunities. So like I mentioned earlier, figure out if the school has opportunities for you to volunteer, shadow, do international things if that's what you're into, because I think that's a big part of, going into med school, doing something huge, doing a project or being a part of a program that you want to help in, you want to make a change in. So definitely figuring out what the school has to offer and how you can get involved is something that I was looking into when choosing a program. And that's something that I think you should look into as well. And maybe the most important thing you should consider is personal fit. Ultimately, you're going to spend, at least 4 years at that institution. Do you really feel like you fit? Do you really feel like you'll be comfortable there and, in the area, in the school, and enjoy your time there? Because, that's going to be very important for your health and for your success anywhere, really. So ultimately, does the program align with your values, with your goals, and with your mission? And that's something that I think you should really, really consider when looking into the best medical school for you. I hope this video was somewhat helpful. I really wanted to put this out because a lot of people always, worry about the rankings and the numbers and this and that. But to be honest, in my opinion at least, it's the work that you put in. In the end of the day, we're all going to have that MD after our name, and that's really all that matters. So, I hope you guys like this video. We're going to have more content like this coming out soon. Peace out. Foods and medicine.